Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The News.
Good evening, Junkyard. Welcome to Junk in the News. Tonight, our first story, 1500s, right? The 1500s. A time in the world where, we often call it the Dark Ages. There's a lot of craziness going on. We don't have a ton of archaeological information about a lot of the daily life that was happening during that period. But now we do. Thanks to a $7.8 million roof renovation taking place on the Oxford Hall, which is located in England, we have found rare treasures, some dating back to that storied century, the 1500s. These treasures were unearthed during the renovation, and they found more than 2,000 items. Okay, some of them feature Elizabethan era and Georgian era textiles and embroidery, which is super rare and really hard to come by. Okay, they found 450-year-old handwritten music sheets. Crazy. They don't even know who they're by, but 450 years old handwritten sheets of music. They also found pages from a book that was published in 1568. What? Crazy, right? They found a copy of the Book of Psalms from the Bible that was used this brilliant blue ink and was embellished with gold leaf on the page. They found pages from that, not the whole thing. Super, super cool. They're hoping that as this renovation project continues, they'll find more artifacts that will clue them into what life was like for those living in that building and in the area during that time. Really exciting stuff that gives us a lot of insight into how people lived during that time. Now, interestingly enough, during this renovation, they also found things in that same space under those floorboards dating back to World War II. So not unlikely that there was possibly some illegal tenants in that building at various points in time. They found empty cigarette packs, stuffed up under the floorboards and things like that. So potentially hiding the evidence of their occupancy. They're not really sure where those things came from, but very, very, very interesting stuff. So all these types of things are popping up all over the place. These new archaeological discoveries and, finding shipwrecks. And we talk about this stuff a lot on the show. Here's why it matters. Okay? We have a really hard time proving what history was like. You read a history book and it seems like factual information, but then you read a different history book about the same topic and it contradicts the first. So what's real, right? Part of the reason for that being is we take the information and the artifacts that we have access to, and then we have to make certain interpolations of those things or judgments based off of the information that we have. We're making assumptions. The more information, the more archaeology and artifacts that we can find, the more accurate our assumptions will be. The more accurately we understand our history, the more we can see what led to this event or what did this event cause. And the more we can see those effects in our life today. So really exciting stuff there. For our next story, a woman who was the first to complete a really hardcore triathlon. The woman that you see on the screen is Andrea Mason, and she was the first woman to complete the Sea to Summit Triathlon in the French Alps. Now, this is a brutal, brutal race, ladies and gentlemen. It starts out with swimming the circumference of Lake Annie, which is 23 miles around. Then you cycle 205 miles and run 105 miles to reach the summit of Mount Blanc. Now, the last 4,000 feet of that climb are near vertical. So we say run, but really you're climbing for dear life. Now, many people have finished this triathlon in the past, but never has a woman successfully completed the event. Miss Andrea Mason was the first female to do so, completing the event in 4 days, 23 hours, and 41 minutes. So just shy of that 5-day mark. A really, really impressive time and a really impressive feat in and of itself. What makes this situation even more impressive for Miss Mason is that back in 2017, she was diagnosed with cervical cancer and endometriosis. Both of those things very, very serious. Now, after a surgery and treatments and stuff, she's been able to beat that cervical cancer. But consider that was only 3 years ago that she went through this big fight. Now, based on my research, I haven't found out when she was, able to complete that fight. But even the beginning of it was 3 years ago. And to be able to get in shape and be able to complete this triathlon 3 years after a very serious cancer diagnosis is incredible. Now let's talk about endometriosis. This is something that's not talked about a whole lot, but it's something that people need to know about. Endometriosis is a very, very serious illness that affects a lot of people. It's estimated that there are more than 3 million cases in the US alone every year. It's a lot of women affected. Essentially what it is a medical condition that causes extremely painful menstrual cycles for women. There are a lot of thoughts on how to treat it, but nobody's come up with a cure yet. Right? Now, this is something that's important to me because I remember as a non-commissioned officer in the military, I had a female soldier who complained a lot about, menstrual pain. And, being an NCO and needing to get the mission done, I'm like, look, you and every other female in the Army have menstrual cycles. The mission don't stop. Deal with it. Right? Now, as I'm older and learning things about life and able to have candid conversations with people about stuff like this, I realize that it's possible that that soldier had endometriosis and that not all menstrual cycles are the same for all women. So, if you don't have a menstrual cycle, like myself, you need to keep a more open mind about what these people are going through. I don't know what that's like. I don't know how bad it hurts or how debilitating that situation can be. And for my female viewers out there, man, talk to your doctor, because this is one of those things that you could deal with it for years and years and years and not know it. And so you're having these very painful periods and you don't know, why or what's happening. You do your best to treat it. But man, I know so many females out there that like when they hit their cycle, it takes them out for days at a time, and you shouldn't have to live that way. So go talk to your doctor and see, maybe the endometriosis is what's affecting you, and maybe they can treat it. The most common treatments for it are hormone supplements that help your body regulate what it's supposed to do. Also, on a side note, if you're a man and you're uncomfortable with me talking about this on my show, you need to check yourself, because I don't know, half the population of the planet deals with this. So I don't know, just a thought. Okay, so hormone therapy is the typical treatment. Sometimes they'll do a surgical intervention if they feel like that's the best option, and so on and so forth. So talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor. All right, on to the next. Oh man, I love elephants. I love elephants so much. You guys may have noticed that I posted an elephant appreciation video this week. I love elephants, and I get really excited when countries do things to protect elephants. The nation of Zimbabwe has just done such a thing, okay? For the first time in the nation's history, they have canceled all mining contracts in national park areas. Now, if you know anything about the nation of Zimbabwe, you know that a huge chunk of that country is designated as national parks. In recent years, starting in 2014, they signed agreements with Chinese mining companies to mine for coal and gold all over the country. This was a necessary step for the nation at that time because they were dealing with a huge inflation in the ballpark of 737% of their national currency inflation rate, which is just unbelievable, right? This is not a wealthy nation, okay? So the mining contracts brought a lot of money into the country that was desperately needed to help right their economy and help their people prosper. Well, fortunately, as time has gone by, tourism in Zimbabwe has increased in a massive, massive rate, providing a lot of income into the nation that kind of negates the need for these mining contracts. So they've now canceled them. All of them. Gone. Done. This is really important because the areas that they're mining, right, are home to some really important populations. Estimated 40,000 elephants live in these areas, as well as a population of very endangered black rhinos. They also have leopards out there and painted dogs. All these animals very important for the ecosystem and very, very beautiful creatures that have a right to live unmolested in their habitat. So really big deal. The concern, of course, when you cancel mining contracts with a major nation is, will there be any retaliation? Will there be any, political upheaval or anything like that? But both nations have assured both each other and the globe that they're not going to change their posture towards each other. There's no tensions about it. Both nations understand the very delicate situation involved in the preservation of wildlife, and they're happy to be making sure that these populations are able to continue thriving and prospering in these national park zones. There are a lot of other areas that they can conduct mining that aren't home to such beautiful and important creatures. So man, I love seeing elephants be protected, and black rhinos are gorgeous and super endangered, so that's awesome too. I don't know what a painted dog looks like, but I love all dogs, so there we go, right? So really good move. Props to Zimbabwe for making a smart choice. Last story for today. The gentleman that you see on your screen is 11-year-old Cartier Carey. right? And he lives in Hampton, Virginia. Now, 11 years old. It's a pretty young age. Normal 11-year-olds probably be, playing cops and robbers in the backyard with sticks, playing a little Xbox here or there, making finger painting. Maybe not finger paintings. They're a little old for finger paintings. Yeah. I love finger paintings too, but yeah, so normal 11-year-olds, right? They're probably playing hoops and, maybe a little backyard baseball, something like that. But not this young man. So Cartier Carey, he's one of these young men that he sees the world for what it is. He's been described as a very observant young man. Well, he went to visit his grandmother, who lives in a pretty impoverished community in Hampton, Virginia, and he saw a lot of single mothers struggling to survive in that area, so he decided to do something about it. What did he do? He opened a lemonade stand. What? A lot of kids open lemonade stands. That's not that big a deal. Wrong. Here's why. Because he didn't take the money from his lemonade stand and buy himself a new pair of shoes or a fancy video game or anything like that. No. What he did is he took all the money generated from his lemonade stand and he bought diapers and wipes and other essentials for single mothers. Okay? To date, he has been able to accumulate and donate 22,000 diapers. Let me say that again. 22,000 diapers that this young man has been able to pay for and donate to families in need. That's a big deal. He's 11 years old. This is also not the first charitable thing that he's done. Okay, previously, he launched a program called Cardi Packs, right? Use the hashtag Cardi Packs on Facebook to find more. These are care packages for the homeless that include all kinds of essentials that they need. Gloves, hand warmers, socks, hygiene items, things like that they just give to homeless people. Yeah, this kid did that. Really, really cool stuff. Very, very amazing young man. He also, last year, founded Kids for Change, which is a nonprofit that he uses to handle all of the tax liability and everything else for what he does. Really, really impressive stuff. All the time we talk about making a difference in the world and being a force for positive change out there, and there's always excuses and reasons why we can't. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to indict anybody when I say that, because I make the excuses too. But the reality of it is, gentlemen like this right here that you see on your screen are the leaders who are proving us wrong when we say that we can't do whatever, right? Many of you know that I'm also very closely paying attention to an organization called the Fresh Boys Club, who operates in the town where I live. And these young men raise boys to become better leaders. They do a ton of community service. They do a lot of awesome stuff. There are young men in that organization that are 8, 9 years old and are out there changing the world just like Cartier Carey, right? So if you want to see the world change, make it so. That's what it is. So man, Mr. Carey, you are an incredible human being, and I'm proud to feature you on the show. Best of luck to you in everything that you do. And guys, check out hashtag CartiPacks. That's CartiPacks on Facebook to learn more about this young man's story. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Junk in the News.
The Fists of Arkan is the debut novel by author Jack Kiesling. Action, adventure, and personal challenges are the focal point of this immersive book set against a backdrop of war. Deep character development and wide perspectives explore social issues relevant to the real world. Dive in and discover the answer to the age-old question faced by leaders many. What kind of royal will you be? This is a paid advertisement for Jack Kiesling Books and the Fist of Arkan.